Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday. One more day till the best day of the week, but we've got a little bit of. Look, it's the same transfers, but they've moved a little bit further ahead. So we're going to talk Onana, we're going to talk Hojlund, and we are actually going to talk about Scott McTominay. Guys, welcome to the agenda. He's Rebel gone.
Rebels disappeared.
Anyway, yeah. So I was wondering. Anyway, on Monday, how you doing, big man?
Yeah, good man, good. Bit tired today. Oh, there he is. He's appeared. There you go. Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks. Big up to you, Mr. B. Hope you're doing well, and to you as well, Rebel. We're back again Thursday evening, and yeah, news is flying in. I'm sure this show is going to be really tasty. Diggy claws in, guys. Andrew Williams has arrived early for once. Big up, Andrew. See you there. Let's go.
How are we doing, gentlemen?
Rebel, how are we doing?
Well, as you know,
Has it been? Has it been a swear-free day for you?
no, and I have plenty cussing for a certain family to be doing because them mans are making mugs out of us out here, and I need to get my 10-day holiday quota in today.
Do we know Sigmund was asking if they had to become a member? What do we do to become a member? If I'm like, how can you signpost me to become a member of the channel here, Rebel?
The easiest way to do it, because I think especially on Apple products, that it seems to be hidden a bit, is to log on to a PC, go to YouTube, sign into your YouTube account, and the join button is right up there next to the notification bell. You can't miss it.
Thank you.
They're never going to get me, Emma. Never going to get me.
No, we're not even talking about Glazers today. We're going to have a swear-free show today. Amanda, you want to go through some of these guys in the chat before we get the show?
Yeah, of course. Big up to Sigmund Judge. He was the first man in the house. And second, silver medalist would be Matthew Bassett. He's picking up everyone in the chat as well. And we're getting good evening from Sigmund as well. How you doing? Good evening from Andrew. Andrew comes in late usually, but he's back early now. And I'd love to hear from you today, Andrew. And I'd love to hear from Emma. Emma's always the calming force out here. When it's all mayhem in the comments, Emma comes along and calms things down for us. So she's saying the Glazers coming for Rebel, I see. Teasing him already. Everyone knows Rebel's got a thing about the Glazers. Alex is saying, welcome back. Happy to hear Onana deal is moving forward. And the Hojlund bud as well. So he's really pleased.
Right. Onana. We've spoken about him every day this week or every other day this week, but today there actually seems to be some sort of movement. I'm over the moon. We needed a goalie. Obviously, it was a situation that we know we've been struggling with. Yes, they have shafted David De Gea, but look, I can't really get into all of that feeling sorry for him. Right now, I feel sorry for myself. He's let us down quite a few times this season. He saved our arse quite a few times this season. And to be fair, over the 12 years that he was actually at the club, I think he did a lot more good than bad. But look, Onana's on the radar. Terms have been agreed, and the second bid is incoming. What we feeling, and how soon do you think this is going to happen?
I look at it, Mr. Monday, and I say, will I open my gob first? Will I go full Rain Man right out the gate? Because we have been in this situation before where terms have been agreed according to the media, where we seem to be progressing towards getting a transfer over the line, and then all of a sudden we get the line from Avram Glazier. There was no value in the market, and targets that we pursued, we just didn't feel that the valuation was right for us. So I'm still waiting for that Avram Glazier sting in the tail where he shafts Ten Hag and leaves him playing with Tom Heaton as his number one keeper, to be honest with you, because I don't trust those baldy bastards as far as I can throw them. But in terms of whether or not we can get Onana across the line, obviously he's the type of player that Ten Hag wants. Obviously he's someone that Ten Hag has worked with before. And obviously we've seen what he's capable of doing against opposition in the highest point of pressure, a Champions League final. Is the valuation for a keeper something that we probably need to be thinking about? Modern day football? No. In the past, you'd have said, mans are crazy out there paying 50 mil for a goalie, but that's the market that we're in right now. Are we in it closer? I don't know if we are, I'll be honest with you, because there's a lot of media spin being thrown out there about every man and his dog at the moment in terms of transfers. They need to sell a paper, and if there's any sort of teensy-weensy little change in the report that they get from whatever source is selling secrets like rats within the club, then they're obviously going to use that to progress their narrative. But it does seem that the Tappan merchant is getting on board with it. So if he's on board with it, then there's a good chance we might be seeing a goalie signed before the end of the week.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Who's the Tappan merchant?
Fabrizio.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was saying like it's 5 million, he reckons, off the mark. So another 5 million added to that, which could be done in the next few days. And like Rebel said, the deal could be done very soon. And you asked the question, Mr. B, how do we feel about it? We've been covering this story for all week now. And to be honest, I'd be delighted if he comes. I'm just going to go through to get a feel from the comments, because there's a few good comments here about it. Want to say hi to Andrew, saying quite happy with the players we're linked with, including Onana. I'm very happy with Mount. It'd be nice to see us move some Deadwood out as well. We'll get onto that. Ed Mayhem, how you doing? He hopes everyone's all right. And lack of internet at home. Just had his full-time job offer today up the Reds. Well done. Congratulations.
Congratulations, my friend. Well done.
Ed Mayhem with your new job. Stephanie Griffiths is saying, big up to everyone on the panel. And it's Onana time. That's how excited she is. Have the club even announced the guy who's leaving yet? Seems a bit weird from Emma.
Before you go any further, there was a post from Mr. De Gea today on the Twitter where he's basically juggling some balls. And when you look at his Twitter profile, it still says goalkeeper at Manchester United Football Club. So maybe the stuff that we're not privy to that could see him retain in some capacity at the club. So maybe it's not over there.
Okay, big up to Bath Time with Vaughan. He's a tactical genius. And he's sort of the first one to sort of indicated the issues with De Gea. And I'm sure he's pleased with Onana. That's something better than what we got, I imagine, as regards to bringing the ball out of play. Football Power Hour, how you doing, man? Really
long
special.
Time no see.
Go and subscribe to his channel, guys. He said, we are cooking. It's Onana time, baby. No more pressing us. So he's fed up with teams pressing us all over the pitch. Jeff is here as well. Big up to Jeff. You'll be seeing him tomorrow night. Stephanie's saying Ten Hag is getting the players he trusts. All bodes well. Onana will be 7th signing. Okay, considering last year as well. I missed OMONDI though. It was like my version of Kazelle Moore. Don't worry, we'll talk with Love Island later. And big up to Dancing with the Devil. He said, hi guys, don't Inter still owe us for Lukaku? Yeah, I think we can talk about that. If so, surely there's a deal to be done for sure. Want to say hi to Stumpy. And does OMONDI feel the same as Bath Time? Yes, I usually do. What number 9 are attainable right now? Realistically, says Matthew Bassett. Everyone say hi to Dave. Dave P, you're back. He said, now this is what we all agree. He's liking Onana very much. But after years of paying too much for players, as everyone knew we had decent funds available, we are now feigning poverty to try to keep the prices lower. Mr. B, you've been quoting that all year. And last one here, I've seen Onana play once. All I want to see him do is claim crosses in the league at Old Trafford. And Old Trafford eats goalkeepers, yeah. There you go. So I think the general feel is that, especially from me, I'm delighted with the signing. I think it's better. It's an improvement. And we'll be seeing a new dimension of play next season. People are complaining about our rivals, what they're doing. Now we're sort of caught up. It's a massive improvement for us. We'll be a better team all round for it. Be able to sort of beat that first line of press, get up the pitch quite early and get in good attacking positions and have them chasing back at us. That's going to be really key for us. So hopefully we have a great pre-season. He settles in well. And we can start demonstrating just how good his distribution is as a goalie as the season starts.
So that's you're looking at that to be our change, isn't it? Our extra 20% possession wise from the back going forward, yeah.
I'd say 30%. I've been saying 30. I'm gonna stick with that. I just think it's a 30% improvement of our team. And if you consider that we just about scraped top 4, or it's not just about scrape, but we had that points total. I think we could sort of get another 20 points based on a great goalkeeper. I really do. I'm not being boastful or anything.
Okay.
On Monday, I'm going to have to say one thing,
Go ahead,
though.
Rebel.
Getting the right goalkeeper, definitely a step in the right direction. Definitely another piece of the Ten Hag jigsaw. But look, we still don't know what the truth of what money we do have and what money we don't have is at this juncture. But if we move on, a volume of players, like there's 7 being rumoured with being moved on at the moment after this Onana deal is done, we still have to be cognizant of the fact that we need to have a squad of players capable of taking on the rigours of a 38-game league season, plus domestic cups, plus Champions League football.
Rebel, can I just respond to you there? Yeah, I know you're throwing that one out there, but my point is this. I think you saw us last season, first season of Ten Hag. He's brought in a few players, and it's not his players, a lot of them. He will be getting rid of some players. And I'm delighted, I'm sure you are, even though we're not winning major trophies just yet. But I'm delighted with what we saw. We saw a style of play which creates lots of chances. And once we solve that puzzle about bringing the ball out, I think it's going to be a massive improvement for us. So that includes all tournaments. Doesn't matter what competition we're playing in. I just think, in general, our system going into each game that we play, whoever comes in will be able to sort of demonstrate that we're a good side. And I think we've got enough about us now, if we get our striker and we get our midfielder, to really do some damage. And all that, this is the thing, I just think it's a revelation time for us. And all pray, come on, guys, let's say grace. I predict this is a revelation, because we're going to see players like Sancho. We're going to see players like maybe Martial, if he's still around, Harry Maguire, all these guys standing up and shining, having that halo around them. Because we talked about Anthony, for example. I think that he's going to click. And if my dog would hush up and I would start barking too, if my dog would just hush up for a minute, I would say this. I think we're going to click. The players that didn't perform well last year, or there was doubt about, I think it's all going to come into play because the system will improve. And honestly, guys, I just think big things are going on at Manchester United right now, and I am swell up right now thinking about it. Let's watch the preseason in a few days' time, and let's start experiencing something good. Like I said yesterday about Angel Gomez, we do need someone like that who can bring the ball out from the back as well, from midfield. I'd love to get Angel Gomez back in, and his performances are great at the moment. So I know it's not going to happen, but we talk about Amarat to come in, or all these other guys. So there's a lot to look forward to, and transfers are starting to move. So be positive, guys. Say grace. Amen. We are looking up, and I'm looking for major trophies next season.
I love the optimism, and I want to be optimistic. And we do need certain players, and it's predetermined what positions those players are going to be. It's going to be up front. Obviously, we've already signed an 8, and it's going to be at the back in the goalkeeper. But if we get rid of one of Maguire or Lindelof, it's going to be one of them. It's not going to be both of them. If we get rid of Bailly, if we get rid of Fred, if we get rid of Donny, if we get rid of Ilanga, if we move Sancho on because we think we need the funds for something else, we were still short up top before we moved any of these players. We were still short in midfield before we moved any of these players. We would still need to replace that defender. You are probably going to be getting in 2, maybe 3 Ten Hag approved players for what the sum total of those 5 or 6 outgoings are going to be. So that makes you 3 players lighter in your squad than you were last season.
Sorry, Mr.
Plus, we never replaced Weghorst. We haven't replaced Sabitzer, who was an unknown, and we haven't replaced Cristiano Ronaldo. Sorry, that just adds to that.
Do you mind? Because we're going back and forth here. Rebel, just to bounce to you there.
Yeah, go.
All right. I do think, look, when I say about the improvement in style of play, that includes possession. When you got the ball, there's less running, less dogged running, getting up and down, less injuries, that kind of thing. When you got the ball, you don't have to tackle, you don't have to stretch yourself. You're playing football and you're enjoying it. Look at Man City, for example. They got the smallest squad. You look at their bench, they got a few youth players on there, and they've got a small squad as well, and they still won the treble. So that's a great example of a good system, having good possession, retaining the ball, which is the majority of the time. If you've got the ball, they can't score. So I just see, if we develop in that way, I understand your concern, but I also think when you look at the City model, look at the teams of the past who've got good system, well drilled, well organised, They can just rotate, and get players in and be comfortable and not be stressing too much. We want to get to the stage where we can walk through games. Bottom half of the table, we walk through games because our possession, everything's too good. When we play the top six, whatever, we can turn it up a bit, but we'll be better equipped this time around because we have more about us, because we keep possession a lot more. And that with possession comes goals, chances created, that kind of thing. So I'm not too concerned about the squad depth so much, because City is a great example of a team where we want to go. That's the benchmark. They don't need that. And they're willing to get rid of Bernardo Silva, for example, and bring someone else in because it's the system that works, not just the players. So I hear what you're saying, but I just wanted to counter that with that.
Final point, and I'm going to let you move on,
Question.
Mr. B. Didn't City have
No, go.
eight Premier League quality starting midfielders for that treble-winning side last season?
Yeah, just look at the bench. Like I'm saying, look at the bench of City. Rico Lewis. They had one defender or two. You know, they had the Calvin Phillips, for example. They had the Argentine from River Plate, striker. They had Mahrez. You know, that's five top players. And then beyond that, they had Palmer coming in and a goalkeeper, of course. So it's not much. They didn't. And you look at the players they used. It's they use less players than any other club in Europe. So I don't know if that's true, but it's almost true. So that's what I'm throwing out there. I think that's the level that you want to get to. It just evidences that it's the system and your good management and the good structure of a team that can take you that far. And they win the treble, goddammit. I mean, come on.
And a Cyborg scoring 40 goals
All right.
too.
Yeah, good job. Good job.
I'm gonna ask something here. So we Rebel, we need a squad of 26, right? Is that the figure that we're looking at for a squad?
You need at least
Now,
26
you're
plus say
talking
whatever
about
kids.
certain players plus the kids. So you're saying 26, but that's not going to include Mainu. That's not going to include any of the other youngsters that you feel might be able to get a chance. Is that what you're
Correct.
saying? Well, City don't have a squad of 26, surely. See, so this is where I'm thinking. Well, like Emma said, the youth. Well, aren't we going to have the youth to fill the gaps? Because there's no way we as a club, regardless of how we want to be acting, we're not going to buy 6 players this summer. We're not going to buy 6 players. I think we'll probably buy 4, and it could be 5 at a push. So I'm looking in my head. I've got 4. Go on.
Here's the thing for me, right? If you look at City, even though they were tight in terms of their rear guard options, and obviously there was the main boy Haaland and his accomplice, Mr. Alvarez, up top, in the battleground, the centre midfield, Pep could afford to rest KDB and play Gundogan. He could afford to rest Rodri and play somebody else. He could afford to rest any number of centre midfielders, which would be doing the main pitched battleground in his team. So even though he was compact, he had an embarrassment of riches at the engine room.
No, I get that, and that's the one part that we are lacking. But again, I'm saying to you, Mainu got promoted early. I expect to see Mainu play next season, which means that even if he's worse than Fred, we've already got that cover in Mason Mount. You see, because I'm looking at Mason Mount first choice, and then Ericsson, and then Mainu would be coming in, you know, to play the Coca-Cola Cup. That's what I've got in my head now. He needs to get experience from somewhere this season. I said at the time, that first European game where those players effed it up, stopped Ten Hag being able to rotate, because he had to go full tilt for us to qualify out of that group. I think if they had gone through that first game, he would have been able to probably bleed these players, give them a little bit more game time. So I'm expecting the youngsters, to be honest. I'm expecting these younger ones to be the ones filling the gaps and not necessarily the ones being bought.
You know, Mr. B, I think there's a great point you make there, because I think it's easy to bring youngsters in to like a smooth running oiled machine. That's what Ferguson did with the class of '92. We just won the double, and he brought these guys in and sold some players in. And by that point, they'd experienced, they've been in and around the club, they've seen gigs come in, and it was an easy transition. So I do think if we're making these gradual improvements like we are, I think it's going to be easier for these youngsters to come in. Why risk them coming in while we're sort of struggling a little bit last season with the first season, just struggling to get, let's establish ourselves as a top four, Mr. Rebel, sorry.
Yeah, actually, I do agree with you 100%, and this is going to shock you about coming into a smooth, well-oiled machine. It is easy for a young player to transition from youth football into senior football when he's got those players that have nearly one eye on him during the entire game, and when he coughs up the ball, they're in quickly to go, okay, you cop that up, get the next one, and just remember your last play, not your cock up. It's very easy to do that, but the problem I have with this is Manchester United Football Club at one time had one of the finest youth academies in all of Premier League football. We saw what we developed in the 90s, and we saw what the effect of the youth system that we had on the careers of Wayne Rooney, Ronaldo, etc. We won't go through all the annals of history. But Manchester United Football Club at this stage, the players that we would have thought would have been set to transition into playing a rotationary role, the likes of your James Garners, the likes of your Zidane Iqbals, have now been moved on because for one reason or another, whether or not they didn't like the opportunities that were going to be presented to them, or whether or not the manager felt that they weren't quite ready to play that role, that assessment is going to take place in every single youngster that comes up and comes near that first team. Manu at the moment could be a top-level talent for us. So could Charlie Savage, as I see Alex mentioned down there. But it does not mean that they would be ready to play any role for us this season. And we cannot bank on the fact that they may be ready unless we know we have enough players above that are ready, that in the event that we need to kind of slow them down, take it back a notch, that we are not paper thin and struggling because of the games that we're playing.
Well, look at Phil Foden. I'll keep referring to. Look, we have to measure up to Man City. Phil Foden, Paul Palmer, and Rico Lewis. The way they've been introduced is perfect. The way Garnacho has been introduced last season, we rave about him. I mean, what do you call him? The Sancho Slayer. I mean, Mr. B's got a nickname for him. That's how good he's been. So it's exciting, isn't it? It's really exciting when you to bring them in. And it's not like we have to be. Look, people might have wanted Garnacho to start a lot of games last season, but it's the slow progression. I assumed when Ten Hag came, I thought, oh, great, he's going to play the youngsters. But our very good correspondent from the Holland, Vincent de Vries, he said that he doesn't do that. He brings them through gradually. It's not going to be boom, just go out there and play. So when so I'm not really, when you reflect on that, not really surprised that players like Zidane and Ghana didn't get looking. He's probably looking for the future, get this team right first, and then whoever's available and good enough will be coming through to team. Players like Pellistri, players like who all of us here on the show, we like Pellistri. We think he's got a lot of talent. We think he can develop really well. So when you look at the balance that we've got, Anthony, Sancho, Pellistri, Garnacho, and maybe Rashford on wide as well. That's a lot of good quality players there who can really be exciting for us, And it's a balance of experience with a bit of youngsters and youth. And Garnacho is a bit like Giggs. He's going to be with like Moses with the staff, leading them out of Exodus from the old days, from captivity. He's the one with the staff, like Giggs was, saying, look, it can be done, guys. If you're good enough and you have good birthday parties with midgets or whatever he did the other day, you can do it. You can do it. So I'm really pleased about the way we're heading. The balance is right, and the manager's being shrewd, but it's the right steps to make.
Final point. You absolutely just said exactly what the reason I was going to say Garnacho succeeded, because he did not have the pressure on him to kick on and be that boy. He had the likes of Sancho able to play in the team. He had the likes of Rashford, Elanga, and a whole host of other people like Anthony and Martial that could have came in and took games should the need have been that he needed to be taken out of the limelight. And that is why you can do an introduction like that, and probably with Pellistri next season, and not be too worried about if things are going wrong for him. There's a player on the bench that can kind of cover for him and sort that out. But there's other areas of the pitch we do not quite have that security blanket. And that's my final point on this.
Yeah, just to add, Ahmed, Alex, to throw that number, guys, said Ahmed as well. I just want to go through a few comments because obviously we're touching on this. We don't want to neglect you guys. And there's some good comments as well. So we're saying here, Bath Time saying it's a new one to lead a group of players for Maguire. Andrew's saying here, yes, we have a lot of problems within the squad. Nowhere near as optimistic as OMONDI, so he's still quietly confident, but not as optimistic as me. That was a beautiful little speech, says Devil Dance with Devil. I hope you're right, mate. Systems wins games. Certainly do. We don't have City's quality, says Andrew. That is true, but I think we've got enough about us to be pushing harder this season. And same, like after I'm saying, even Walker didn't play that many games, and he's fantastic, isn't he? He was needed towards the end. They talk about Fring Frong here in the comments. They like him. City's midfielders, Seth Stephanie, are ballers. United's aren't. But I think systems, this is what I'm saying, it's not necessarily about the players. Alex is saying here, if you want an absolute fantastic match, watch, there's a thing I watched this the other day, the biggest football scandal. It's about Man City's charges. Go and check that out, guys. It's on YouTube. Good shout, Alex. I watched that the other day. It's very interesting indeed. Jeff saying here, big question, will Palestri get a fair shake with an Anthony in the squad? That's something that needs to be answered. And also,
I think so.
Manu, they're saying here Kobe could do like a job like what's the name? Angel Gomez is doing for the under 21s at the moment, bringing the ball out. He's got that sort of game about him, so he could play deep line playmaker or deep line midfielder as well. I want to say, how many times have youth come through since '92 and Whiteside? How many times has that happened, guys? Since '92, class of '92, how many times have youth come through and be established yourself in the squad? Over to you, Mr. B.
I was going to say, you're only looking at, I'm trying to work it out. You're only looking at, from our direct, you're only looking at Rashford so far. That's not much.
Lingard?
Scott, obviously, Lingard. Yeah, I mean, what is that? Fourth, that's 3 already. It's not bad. It's not great, but obviously Rashford to me is the pinnacle, is the one, and obviously Scott is probably the lower level one, to be fair. I'm not sure how much higher his ceiling is going to be, but we'll discuss Scott in a minute. Obviously the Hojlund business is rumbling along beautifully. Have you not noticed a change in the way that we're moving in the transfer market in regards to we're actually putting bids in quickly? Like when the first one's failed, it's normally 4, 5, 6. Look at Rebel's face. 4, 5, 6, 7 days before we do another one. We're now moving quicker, like we want things done. Do you think that's the influence on the club? I mean, on Ten Hag? Do you think it's just the way that things are operating at the moment?
For me, it's Glazerman's keeping their arses out of the fire and out of the spotlight, because they're trying to do as much as possible to keep the Twitterati, that's the one thing apparently that they are concerned about, United fans, and that is United fans talking about them in a negative manner on Twitter, because it affects their outlook and their persona to companies that they're trying to do business with. And I think they're trying to fill our heads full of hot air in order to make sure that we're not talking about them and we're talking about signings instead. Could they be genuine attempts to sign these players? Could be. But the one thing we do know is United need a striker. We do not have a striker. We know that Hojlund is one of the many youngsters, including the Red Bull Salzburg player that's now gone to Leipzig, that could be seen as those top-level lads to challenge the Cyborg in terms of his goal output in the next couple of years. We're not buying a player that could get us 30 goals this season. We're buying a player that's going to contribute to those goals that we're going to need to increase from, and we're buying a player that could have the potential next season, season after, as long as we continue to put the jigsaw pieces together to be a marquee forward. So we're definitely going to end up paying a premium. We've done it before with Anthony Martial, and unfortunately things transpired against him between the disharmony at the club, injuries and whatnot, that it just didn't happen. So we'll have to be kind of, I suppose, a bit grounded in what we think this guy can deliver, because we are asking him to step up in class from Atlanta. The interesting thing for me is that Voldemort could be traded against him, because apparently Atlanta like Voldemort.
Okay. I do agree, Mr. B. I think you're right. I mean, the transfers are kicking off. We're now like remember the saga last year with De Jong that went on and on and on, and we weren't getting anywhere. And we had to sort of rush towards the end, and we had a bad start to the season. I think you said a couple of weeks ago it was really key that we needed to get players in before the pre-season so they can bed in. We've already got one over the line, an important player in Mount. So I like this comment here from Alex. He's saying, I love that we are on top of the transfers before pre-season. I believe that Eric Ten Hag is pushing to have his signings to implement his system this season as well. Sigmund saying here, I think the Glazers have delegated this summer to the real business being done with the takeover talks as well. So something's been done. I mean, obviously the manager agrees pushing for that. They can only do one thing at a time, says Sigmund. Andrew Williams saying he's reverting back to the missed signing with Alvarez, who turned out to be a good player for City. Jeff saying here, we're going to do one of two things. Hojlund and Rashford at number 9, and Hojlund and late window massive payment for an experienced striker. So he's thinking maybe Kane will come in there, I imagine.
Jeff knows what I'm for. I keep saying it.
Reckon,
Jeff.
And Alex is saying here, I think we get Highland now and bring Kane in for 60 million in January to finish the season out. Very interested in that. Kane's not dead in the water, it seems. Mr. B, have you been sending out sort of positive messages about Kane? You still think there's something going on there, don't you?
So yeah, I do. I really, really do. He's obviously he can go to Dortmund. Not Dortmund, Bayern.
Yeah.
Bayern aren't going to make a bid if they haven't been given what's the word? Maybe slight assurances that he would be interested in going. They were talking about Tuchel going to his house. I don't believe that for a minute, but I do believe they probably had a phone call. Rebel, there was a list of 7 players today that you had on that you said were for sale, and there was one player that was glaringly off that list. First things first, could you tell me the players who are on that list?
Absolutely, I would be absolutely delighted. So just bear with me slightly. Talk amongst yourselves as I just get this up on the screen.
I reckon they're going to mock me about Maguire being on the list. I think it's a question. I don't think Maguire will go this season. I really don't.
Okay, I'm going to do the obvious ones first. Eric Bailly.
Yeah.
Alex Telles.
Yeah.
Donny van der Beek. Yeah. Dean Henderson.
I don't know about Dean, but yeah, okay.
Well, the Henderson one, I think there was talk today that they're getting ready to he's not even going to be flying out in pre-season. Forest want him, and the deal, it looks like that's going to be a 30 million. So that's
nice bit of business.
That's the part. So so as soon as Forest take their finger out their backside and get us that, then that probably gets our window moving slightly further as well. But sorry, Rebel, I interrupted you there.
3 more, Rebel.
So then Solo's boy Fred is on the radar of Fulham, and we did see the little whisper in the ear when he left the Fulham game that day. So there is talk that they are players at around 20 million. Anthony Elanga is seen as somebody that could maybe net us a nice bit of a chunk of money because they're buying potential, they're buying a lot of work rate, they're buying a player that could potentially have made it in a different type of environment where he doesn't have 1,000,001 wingers against him to make it into the squad. And then the one that is sitting there in the ether, but is complicated apparently by the fact that he had a clause in his contract that entitles him to extra money now that we've reached Champions League. That is Harry, club captain Maguire.
Right. So the player not on that list, Scott McTominay. Okay. I've got a theory as to why he's not on that list. If those players who are available, the price is always going to be lower. I think yes, he will replace Scott McTominay if the right offer comes in. But I think that's the one who they're going to try and maybe push the price up a bit. If we say we don't want Scott McTominay, that's £15 million off his price already. If we say we do want to keep him, we want to fight, he wants, and he's going to come out with the spiel. He wants to stay and fight for his place. Then that's an extra 7-8 million that the club's going to want to pay. Brighton looking at him. They're looking to replace Caicedo. But Caicedo will not go. Brighton don't do their business like that. There's no way they're going to let Caicedo go without having a replacement in place already. So I think that with the Scott McTominay situation, they've said he's not for sale, knowing or hoping that his price it's going to keep his price high, and there might be a little auction going involved in there.
You forgot another player in the Scott McTominay market. David Moyes is well familiar with Scott McTominay. David Moyes has lost Rice Baby to Arsenal. So they got money burning a hole in their pocket, and they need a midfielder to come in to take the place of Rice Baby.
I don't think we should sell McTominay. I think if he's not in that list of 7, there's a reason for that. This guy's a valuable player. I know when we look at players, we say, he's not good enough, not good enough. But there's been retribution for a lot of players next season where things are all right with the squad. And I think this is a player with good quality. He's quite happy to sit on the bench and come off the bench and play occasional games, you know. He's a Man United man through and through. Why would we want to get rid of someone like that? I don't understand it. People might say he lacks the quality. I don't think he got the quality to be a good squad player for us. And you need players like that. We remember, Darren Fletcher turned out to be a really good player, but at times, is he good enough? Why are we playing him, you know? Players like that, you need that balance of players in the squad. He's someone will get you going, will get the boots in a lot of the time, and really show that aggression. He's never let us down, as in trying 110%. I like him. He should stay. We've been missing a big thing here. We sold him. Trust me.
Monday. Now, my memory's short. I understand that, but I'm sure there's games where we have left the watch along cussing him instead of him passing the ball the 40 yards. He runs 25 of them and wastes a 15-yard pass. Now, I think he's very limited as a central midfield. You're saying as a squad player, what position would you be playing? Who would he be covering or replacing in the in our squad?
At the moment, we've got Mason Mount, we've got Casemiro, we've got Eriksen, and we've got McTominay as well. Fred, I'm going to eliminate him from this conversation. So McTominay, Eriksen, Mason Mount, Casemiro, and we've got Bruno as well. You're missing, if you take out McTominay, you've now got a 30-plus-year-old Casemiro, who we call the pudding. We've got Eriksen, who hasn't got the physicality.
Who you call the pudding?
Well, that blame bath time, he calls him a pudding, which I do agree. We've seen him trying to sprint. Right, so Casemiro, bit of a pudding. Eriksen, man was half dead, and he's coming back. He's not physically at it. And we've got Mason Mount, who plays a bit further forward as well. You need a player who's got that physicality, running power of McTominay, who can also play in the midfield pivot, can do it all. So I agree with you, Mr. B. I have been cussing him certain games through lack of quality, but I do think he's got the personality, the character. You need players like that in your side, and we are going to be weak. Yeah, Amrabat, good player. He can come in. He can come in and do a job. But I still think McTominay's a 6'2" big unit to come in and change the game and use that physical aggression, which the Premiership's all about.
Can I have mine now? On Monday.
Yeah.
On Monday. It's not rugby and it's not basketball. Yeah. So you talking about his height and his physicality and his running power.
Yeah.
Football, it's not long distance running. It's not a marathon. You know, it's not an endurance. It's a game of football. What he lacks is technique. For me, what he lacks really is technique. He has the drive. He has the ambition. You can never fault his determination. He always gives 150%. Granted, but if he doesn't have the technique at the age that he's at, then I don't think he's going to get any better. Yes, he scores for Scotland. Well done. Whoop-de-doo. We won't be playing him in that position. You're talking about him replacing Casemiro in the team by the way that you sort of threw up the options there. And I just don't see it. I just don't see it. We want, you look at Scott when the defender has the ball. We say Scott's hiding. Scott's hiding. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? He can't be oppressed to save his life. You know, so these are the things that you say he can stay and be a squad player. But I'm looking at, if he can't do a job as a squad player, there's no point in being in the squad. And that's how I see it. Don't get me wrong, maybe he will surprise.
I saw a lot of games last season when Scott wasn't playing because it was Eriksen and Casemiro, the two main guys. But late in games, when our manager made key changes, he'd bring on Scott, for example, and you see Scott getting into the box and clearing balls when we're under pressure. I think he's got that about him. We can always make those changes. There's times in the game when a Scott is needed. Sorry, Rebel, you want to jump in on this one?
Yeah, just one quick one, and I want to throw a simple maths equation at you. If we can package up Scott McTominay, clean him up, present him in his best Sunday suit, put him in the shop window, and David Moyes says, "Thank you very much. I know exactly what I can get from Scott McTominay. I will take him for 35 million quid off you," and you turn him off down to London, and he's playing in a Hammer shirt, and you can turn around and get Amrabat, who is an actual natural defensive midfielder that can cover Casemiro for 20 million. That's 15 million that you're banking and putting towards another player.
Yeah, good business. I think you work in finance or something, don't you? I don't know, but you do well with the maths there. That is appealing. Who can refuse that? But I'm saying here, clearly, it's not just about the look. You say he's not a very good player, but in all kinds of teams, you need characters. You need someone who's got that drive, someone who might not be the most talented, but someone who's going to rear you up and get in on it and show that desire in training and set the levels, that kind of thing. We saw that with Milner at Liverpool. At his age, he was setting levels with training, and he's raised the bar high for players to say, this is the standard we have to play at. And I imagine, obviously I'm not behind the scenes, but I imagine I look at Scott McTominay as that sort of guy who comes in there, gives it 100%, and is a guy who will give his heart and soul and bleed for Man United and put his head and injury on the line for the club, which I saw him do last season really well. Granted, Mr. BL, you're right, I did cuss the guy about his ability to spray the ball and that kind of thing, but there's other attributes which are pretty good, which are enough for me to keep him. Fred's at the age now where he needs to go. I think McTominay, due to his age and his physicality and and following instructions as well, which is key, I think we should keep him.
Okay, Rebel.
For me, just for nothing more than in pure business sense, the equation, if you can get money out of Moyes and you can get a player that doesn't weaken you from your perspective of your bench, that does the duties naturally rather than got transitioned into that position, then that makes good business sense to me. You can also then possibly look at maybe bringing in a 15 million euro midfielder if we're that concerned about the depth, on top of the fact that you're getting Amrabat for a bargain of 20. You're doubling up on your players for getting rid of one player. I know you're saying he's Manchester United, he bleeds the shirt, blah, 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 but sometimes it comes down to the sheer matter of numbers. I don't want Sancho to go for argument's sake. I think I can still get a player out of him, but if the money stacks up, then you have to kind of say to yourself, does moving the player on give him the best chance of recovering his career? Does it give Manchester United the best chance of putting more of the jigsaw pieces in place? And for me, that's what we're looking at Scott McTominay. If we have a bidding war in place for him between Brighton and West Ham, you have to stoke that fire and you have to know just how far to push it and say, thank you very much. I will trouser that extra money that I wasn't expecting out of Scott McTominay, and I'll make it do work for us here in the club.
Sorry, do you hear that alarm going off, guys? Can you hear it? Hypocrite warning. Hypocrite warning. Rebel, let's rewind to what you were saying earlier in the show, because let's not contradict what you were saying. You were saying that the squad depth is really important, and we name players that we need to keep. We can't release players, That's why we had the argument I was saying about Man City having a smaller squad, because you raised the point to say that we don't want to diminish the squad. Now you're saying get rid of McTominay and bring in a player who's hardly speaks English and hasn't played in the Prem before. Let's take it.
Hold up.
How do you know he doesn't speak English?
Hardly speaks English. Yeah.
On Monday, I'm going to have to correct you. I said I'm worried about the volume of squad players, and if you can get a premium for Scott McTominay, because there's a manager that knows him well, that has Rice money burning a savage hole through his pockets that he doesn't know what to do with, and you have got a Brighton that are interested in talking and looking under the tyres and seeing whether or not there's any bends or breaks in his mechanisms. You have an opportunity to take that one player, spread a bit of fairy dust on it, and make it two players. Okay. So that
it's all about the price. So it's all about the price for you. If we get a good value for him, then you're prepared to let him go.
Bingo.
Okay, all right. I can go with that. But yeah, I just want to say I like to have homegrown players in. I think Scott McTominay, if you had to compare him and Fred, I would say get rid of Fred, keep Scott. There's little things behind the scenes. What about we talk about the role of a captain at a club? What about he's known to the club? He's been there since he was a boy. Would he help people settle down? Would he sort of get people on board? Wouldn't he string someone up in training to say you can't do that round here? You know, you need that kind of balance. Mr. B, have you got someone in your side that you manage? Someone who's not the best player, but gives his all and is vital for the team? I got one of them guys in my team. He might not be the best player, but I know I like him for the harmony of the team.
To be fair, I had 15 of them, and we hardly won any games. So this season, I'm not interested in none of those men who run around and are great in the dressing room. No,
Yeah.
I want footballers. If they're wankers, I'm still going to take them as long as they perform on the pitch. I'm on there. That's my thing. I want to win. You know, last season for me was one of the most painful I've had as a manager. But you have to go back to go forward. So no, I'm going to be honest. I don't want the trash. I want ability. I want ability. So for me, he would be going for whatever price they could get him for.
Sigmund's saying here, Scott will be good enough in certain situations. Let him bag those last minute winners like he has. He's O'Shea levels, and that's just fine with him. And just to contrast that, Ramo is saying McTominay is just not good enough. We need to sell and improve each. Yes, Rouse Ramrick said. Okay, so there you go. There's division in comments as well as on the show.
Two interesting comments that just came up on my Twitter feed. One is from Tom McDermott, who joined us on the show, was it last Monday, if I remember correctly, that he was on with yourself and Solo?
That's
He's saying, Inter Milan are looking for a similar package to the one United secured for Mount in terms of Onana. Confidence that the deal will be concluded. And the club apparently has been surprised that David De Gea posts he has been offered at least 6 contracts at this point, according to some reports. And with regards to Hojlund, he's saying, the club was priced out of moves for other alternatives, and therefore you should expect a deal to be done. And Red Devils TV, a young man that has been on this channel also, is saying that he favours 3 of United's youths to be looked out for this coming season. Amad Diallo, Alvaro Fernandez, and one that was being mentioned today already in the chat, our young goalkeeper, Matej Kovar.
Yeah. Good shout.
I think he's going to go on loan, but look, that's a discussion for another show. Guys, time's flown by, as usual. Rebel, I know you're going to be on a 10-day sabbatical, so we will
miss you, bro.
We will see.
What you got planned?
We will see when you get back.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I know for a fact the Glazers will still be stinking up Old Trafford by the time I get back, that's for sure. But what is planned is, as you may know, there is a dub that's been absent at the moment. And we are getting rapidly close to the All-Ireland Gaelic football final. The semi-finals will be taking place while I'm on my wee sabbatical. And should we win, it's more than likely that we'll be playing Pat Lawless's Dublin in the final.
Oh, again. Wow.
So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get a reaction with him at some point if that is the case. But I will be going on vacation again, yes, Jeff. And I'm also going 3 weeks later during the August bank holiday week.
I have nothing to say, but yeah, good luck, be safe, and yeah, hurry back. On Monday, we are on tomorrow. Oh, Friday, Solo's on tomorrow.
Solo will be on. I might not be on tomorrow. I've got an appointment in a club with playing and all that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm going out tomorrow night, so I might not be around. But big up, guys! Make sure you check out the 10 o'clock takeaway, and also Solo will be back tomorrow. And one goes, one comes in. So goodbye, Rebel, and welcome to Solo tomorrow.
That's how we do. That's how we do, guys. In the chat, as always, thanks for watching. If you haven't hit that like button, please do it. It does help our algorithms, as I've been told. I wasn't too sure what it did before, but now I actually read I've actually read up. It does actually help. So guys, look, before you go, hit the like button. Share it as well. We will be here tomorrow. I will definitely be here at some stage on Monday. May not be. He's going to be in the corner winding up something with the mic in his hand. Rebel, please enjoy your break. And guys in the chat, see you all tomorrow. Take it easy with your agenda, and we're gone.
Bye-bye.